Dave was like the Don Rickles of the insurance business. We try to make it fun, and I'm trying to continue that legacy. My father actually got into the insurance business. A lot of people probably don't know this. He wanted to be a dentist, which I think was probably what most Jewish parents at the time in the 1960s wanted their kids to do, is either be a doctor or a dentist. So he went the dentist route, and he actually got into a car accident on his way to Stony Brook Dental School. And the guy that he hit was a life insurance salesman who said, "Hey, listen, it was clearly your fault, but I overheard you speak to the cop. And it sounds like you have half a brain because you're going to Stony Brook's, dental program, and you have some mouth on you. I'm looking for an underwriter that has a salesman's mouth. Why don't you work for me? I sell life insurance." And that's how we get into it. He pretty much bribed my dad. So he sold life insurance for a year until he met somebody else that introduced him through, I think it was estate planning at the time. It was a company called Alexander and Alexander, which ended up becoming Aon for those people who are watching the video who know the history of the insurance business. And they introduced my father to, "Hey, have you ever thought about selling DBL?" And he started to segue out of life insurance and get into the statutory disability stuff. When he first knew that I would be starting, his initial advice was, if it's like a restaurant, you're going to grab the mop and you're going to start from the ground up before you get into the kitchen. Just sort of saying that there's different levels before you work your way up. Because it was difficult. I didn't want people to think that I'm coming in like the prince to the kingdom. That was my first obstacle that I had to get over. Proving myself and my self-worth within the organization. And that was 15 years ago this July already. He would always tell me, grow out like Los Angeles, not up like New York, meaning kind of segueing into the nickels, dimes, and quarters theory, because he would say if you're too top heavy and you're in a very short, narrow city where everything is upward and it falls, you could lose a tremendous amount of revenue, and you really would rather focus on all of the nickels, dimes, and quarters and build your base and your foundation out that way. The rule of 72, which is something that we had written about and shared in our last blog post, about how your money doubles every 10 years. And we're trying to say to people, if the statutory benefit hasn't gone up in 30 years, but yet inflation it has, why not enrich your DBL to mitigate that gap and bring it smaller with paid family leave? So that's what we've been trying to do, and we've been doing that since Zurich Insurance Company exited the business now. That had to be in 2012, 7 years this fall, because it was the same season as when Hurricane Sandy occurred that Zurich exited the business. It's all about retention. That's 100% retention, which is exactly what we are tracking in our broker dashboard. Our brokers receive email notifications twice a month, letting them know these are potential policies that are going to be canceling for non-pay. So again, it's one thing, what you're growing, but do you really know what you're keeping or retaining? It's the small, steady accounts that build your foundation on why he initially said, grow your base large like LA, do your nickels, dimes, and quarters. They all make dollars, they all add up, because too many people we're finding today, brokers that we deal with that are maybe from the younger generation, they don't want that $15,000 commission. They want to chase that $100,000 commission. But my father taught me all those $15,000 ones add up to $100,000, and always treat a small account as if it's worth $1 million. Stick to what you're good at. Don't get outside of the box. This is exactly why we do statutory disability in New York, New Jersey, Hawaii. My father opened up shop in the Hawaiian Islands in 1986. His biggest dilemma there was a cultural difference, not to make a joke, but trying to convince the Japanese to deal with the Jewish kid from Brooklyn in the 1980s was a little bit of an obstacle for him, and he overcame that in 18 months. And then we do our ancillary benefits, your group life, your long-term disability, your dental, your vision. That's it. No major medical, no workers' comp, no home and auto. Stick to sewing. Do what we do best. We've been doing that now since 1976.